Hello and welcome to our home renovation here in East London.
Who's ready for a history lesson? Now, I know what you're thinking, history can be boring, but I promise you this is anything but.
You won't want to miss a moment, as we're going to give you the inside track on the heritage of our little warehouse home and also a little bit of historical context for the area that it's in.
Connecting us to the building with our own personal history and a little photo shoot at the end with our award-winning friend, photographer Megan Taylor.
Added bonus is there's a great tip-off about a fabric shop not far from us, and we had loads of great cloths from there to help bring a bit of colour into the shoot.
So you may or may not know already, but historically Shoreditch was actually known as Sewer-ditch. And it kind of was because of what it sounds like. It was a poor area. I think a lot of people were in sort of tenements, weren't they? We sort of rediscovered Arnold Circus, which is really near to where we live. It's somewhere we walk. Buckley all the time.
Arnold Circus was built with an aspiration to clear out the slums. I mean, that sounds very, in the current world that we live in, that sounds like gentrification, doesn't it? Mm. You think of it what you will, but at least that what came out of it is some beautiful architecture, because I actually think Arnold Circus is very aspirational. It has that central bandstand, then all around that central section are these beautiful buildings that are in two-tone brick with sort of a lovely decorative roof line. It feels wonderful. There's something a little bit like Brooklyn, New York about it.
Yeah.
So as you can see from the photo, and as we've already said, this is a muse of what would have been industrial buildings, not industrial in a kind of large scale sense, but in a kind of small scale industry. I found on my Google searches this lovely section, and it's on a website called Past in the Present, and I just thought it really kind of encapsulated what this row might have been. And it says, workshops and factories were sandwiched between tenement blocks, timber yards and public buildings in quieter side streets. Don't expect to find traces of large manufacturing operations in Shoreditch. It's been claimed that the real assembly line ran through the streets, which countless small businesses all worked together. I love that. Isn't that gorgeous?
Is that?
Yeah. It's certainly an area filled with creativity. We want definitely that heritage to inform what we do inside the house. So there's going to have to be some craft pieces in the interior for sure.
Oh, I want every single piece to have like an element of being handmade or designed by us or made in collaboration, which is what we do in our work anyway. Another trade that this area was particularly really well known for were weavers and weavers and cloth makers. So fabric and textiles, which is a huge interest of mine, probably more so than yours.
Yeah, it was an area that was known for like quality silks and cloths, and much of that was brought to this area by the Huguenots. So the Huguenots came over when there was a massacre in France, and it's lovely because part of the history of my family also, there's always been this story in my family that my granddad was descended from the Huguenots who came over from France. So I've always been told there is some French heritage in me. I don't know anything more about that, so maybe we need to find out more about that. Cabinet making and cloth making, very key to this area and very key to us.
I mean, it leans right into like designing a house and renovating, right?
Yeah. I thought it would be useful to talk to you about the date that the place was built as well, because we have found, or our architects actually, who we will tell you lots more about later, they found the old maps of London, and the first date that this building appears on those maps is 1907. So we think it was built in 1906, which is rather exciting because we met in 2006, which is exactly 100 years before this place was built. No, 100 years after.
Before.
It's a nice romantic little piece of information. Also on the old map, interestingly, next door to us, there's a piece of land, and it says ruins on the old map. So we think that whatever building was there was bombed. And that's why that external wall is single skin and very damp.
That explains the damp.
That explains the damp, because it was never supposed to be an external wall, it was meant to be an internal wall. So we need to insulate it from the outside, re-render it and sort it out. So that will be part of the list of jobs to do.
Another building that I often think about and that is really special to us is Wilton's Music Hall, which is not far from us. For those of you who don't know, Wilton's is special to us because it's where we got married. It's also where Russell used to perform. He did a show there called Pirates of Penzance, and then we got married there. So it's sort of like really holds a special place in our hearts, and it's very unassuming from the street. It's down a little tiny alleyway called Grace's Alley. If you've not been, you should go. It's really cool.
And also, not to get too political, but we should, since we're doing a history deep dive, it wasn't actually legal to get married when we had our wedding at Wilton's Music Hall. It was a civil partnership because it was only very new that you were legally allowed to have a civil partner in a same-sex relationship. So,
like, they restored it, but not like when you think of restoration, they just sort of basically made it safe to being, but it still looks old and crumbling, and it's beautiful, really gorgeous, romantic, beautiful place, and very important to us. And for those of you that follow our interiors work, Megan Taylor, who photographs all of our work, also photographed our wedding. That's how we met her.
Absolutely love her work. And so we thought, what better way to mark this moment where she took our wedding photos, and now here we are near to Wilton's in the East End of London. Let's mark that moment with a photo shoot with Megan and like capture this little bit of our personal history forever in time in a photo. It's basically
It's
like
there.
a new family portrait.
Yeah, although Buckley's not in
Buckley's
it.
not
He
in
was
it.
he was there all day,
He was
like
there.
being trouble.
Where are we, Geordie?
Hello, hello, we're in Dalston. We've come to Dalston Mill Fabrics as per recommendation from a photographer, Megan. We are looking for some sort of floaty fabric. We're going to try and do like an artsy portrait. So we want some foil, some sort of semi-sheer fabric that's going to move. So let's have a little look what they've got.